You know, I got into Digimon rather late. It wasn't until the series was into Frontier that I started watching after a friend of mine introduced me to it proper, but I fell in love almost immediately. And while I may have done some things I regret regarding it, oh god, what have I done? I'm still proud to say I'm a fan of the series. And being a massive gamer, I've loved playing the Digimon games that I could get my hands on. So we have an idea of the perspective I have. My favorite season is Frontier, the best season is obviously Tamers, and my favorite Digimon game is Digimon World 2. Yeah, even though it's a slow grind fest, I love the game to pieces. I've also got experience with Digimon World 1, 3, Dawn Dusk, Championship, I've played Digital Card Battle, I've at least seen gameplay of Next Order, and I've got Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth on the back burner waiting for me to dig into it. However, you and I have unfinished business. Okay, so our story begins with our main character, Marcus Damon.
Digimon?
Okay, Marcus Diamond. Great start! Anyway, Marcus is beginning a digital dive. Oh, for those not in the know, the Savers/Data Squad universe takes place in a universe where there is a literal Digimon police force, and they try to both keep Digimon out of the public eye and make sure they don't wreck things, along with entering the digital world from time to time in preemptive strikes or chases. It's kind of like MIB, but for Digimon, and not funny or entertaining. They even have little memory erasing devices, just so you know what they're ripping off. He dives in and... Where are your goggles? No, seriously, where are your goggles? You are the face of the team, damn it. It is a rule that you wear goggles. It's already bad enough that I hate you as a character. You don't even have the decency to wear the proper gear? Anyway, Ryan and his partners with Takatomon over here. Really? You were that bankrupt of ideas for Digimon that you made a new version of Agumon. You couldn't think of any other ideas for Saurian, Draconic, or just outright fire-related Digimon. You couldn't have given him a Dracomon, Coronamon, Ryutamon, Demimeramon, Hackmon, even Dorumon. Or you could just make up a new Digimon entirely? Maybe an Archaeopteryxmon or something? Or was this just a cheap ploy to try and hook on to a nostalgia factor? So we get control and wow, okay. You think you can zoom in the camera a little bit further? I can still see some scenery. So we can't even walk 5 steps before getting jumped on, and we are introduced to the combat. You know, it's been a long time since I've played a game with combat this staggeringly incompetent. First off, it takes a good 8 seconds, give or take 2 seconds, for every battle to actually load in the first place. Combine this with an encounter rate through the roof, as well as no environment map, and you will be praying you don't get lost, which will happen as the levels get more and more labyrinthine. And then, that goddamn music. This EDM music totally gets you pumped for a fight, am I right? This will change when the second and third acts start for reasons that I still do not understand, but I suppose I should stop stalling and talk about the actual combat. So, the combat is bog standard turn-based, which is the only thing the game does right. Whichever monster has the highest speed goes first, and it calculates turns from there. And at that point, everything goes straight to hell. So, when it's a PC's turn, the command screen comes up surrounded by a crap ton of hexes that have something written on them. Sometimes they're red, some blue, and some yellow. No green, so if you're red-green colorblind, you don't have that problem. Well, I say that. There is one green hex, but we'll worry about that in a moment. These correspond to your main actions, and I will get back to those smaller hexes in a moment. Action is your attack command, and I will refer to it as attack from here on in. Guard is your support command, allowing you not only defense, but buffs and heals and stuff. Escape is, well, the escape command. Support is actually the idiot menu so that the corresponding idiot can use items or affect emotions or whatever. Oh yeah, the emotions. I'll get back to that. So here's the first problem with the commands. If you do not see a corresponding hex for that command, you cannot select it. Period. No yellow hexes? No guard for you. No blue hexes? Well, I hope you weren't planning on running from this fight. Even better, when you select a command that isn't support, you don't get to choose what command they do. They will simply automatically do the command they want to do the most. So, as an example, with this tutorial battle, Agumon has more hexes for Pepper Breath than Sharp Claw, meaning that he wants to use the attack Pepper Breath the most. If I just choose the attack command, he will automatically use Pepper Breath. If I want him to use Sharp Claw, I have to actually select one of the hexes with that attack. And sure, this looks fine right now, but late in the game you will get this cluster of hexes and you just won't know what to do. And then, there's the emotion mechanic. See, the reason why certain hexes do or don't show up is because certain emotions are high relative to others. I actually have no idea how this mechanic works. No, I'm serious. I know there are 4 emotions: strong will, tension, anger, and sympathy. I know that low health can lower strong will, and that will make your Digimon more willing to flee. I think that high anger increases the proportion of attack hexes to guard hexes, and I think using attack steadily increases anger. And I know there's a hidden friendship meter that increases if you do the action the Digimon wants to do the most. That's all I know. I have no idea what tension or sympathy does. I have no idea how the emotions are kept track. And I have not a freaking clue what it means to turn an emotion inside out. In desperation, I checked the instruction booklet, and here's what it says on the emotion mechanic. Possible commands are displayed around your Digimon to reflect your Digimon's state of mind. If you select a command that has a lot of duplicates, your Digimon will jump for joy and like you more. This is the basis of the emotional command system. When a Digimon is feeling tough, lots of action commands will appear. On the other hand, when a Digimon has taken a lot of damage and is feeling weak, lots of guard and escape commands will appear. The more a Digimon likes your partner, the more damage its attacks will deal to the enemy. If you and your Digimon don't get along well, the damage it deals will be less. Always consider the situation you're in before acting, but it's usually best to choose the command that is being displayed the most so that you'll be on good terms with your Digimon. If you wish to change the commands that are being displayed, try choosing a command or item that you haven't used. If your Digimon is feeling weak, select Cheer Up to make your Digimon feel tougher and make more action commands appear. You'll note how that explains nothing about the emotions. I've tried Game FAQs and Neoseeker and got back jack. The only thing I haven't tried is running this game on an emulator and finding cheats to hard code emotional values to figure out what in the hell this does, and I don't even know if I can do that. This would be bad enough if it just affected how you can fight, but no! Certain Digivolutions can only be reached when your Digimon has an emotion in a certain value, but the game never tells you what the value you currently have, only the one you need. This leads to the endless frustration of guessing and checking where you are on the emotional scale, and you can't manipulate some emotions until you reach certain levels, and those levels are different for each idiot. And did I mention that each idiot can only manipulate their Digimon's emotions? Simply put, this system is bungled horribly and is the millstone around this game's neck. You know what? As long as I'm ranting, I might as well get to the Digivolutions before I get back to the plot. I mean, sure, the Digimon World games have had Digivolution systems that were esoteric at best. Digimon World 2, I'm looking at you. But at least they used a basic level and stat structure. But this is Data Squad, where there's no such thing as a good idea. So on top of the level, kill, and Digivolution prereqs, we have stuff like escaping a certain number of battles per Digimon, or the total damage dealt by that Digimon. And those are just the individual ones. I mean, steps taken? Bits spent? Treasure chests opened? What is this shit? Who's the brain-dead monkey who designed this system? And you know what? This would still be crap if it was just for the extraneous Digivolutions. Stuff like being able to play as the villains, you know? But no! When we unlock Kenan, because of course he's in this game, his Canon Ultimate, Yatsugarumon, has the requirement of having 20k bits on your person. And that's not including the bits you've already spent on the useless shop. Oh, I almost forgot. Because this is Data Squad and everything in it is a bad idea, you can't digivolve into a Digimon freely. Once you've completed the requirements for a Digivolution, you actually have to digivolve in a battle, which is always great when you, say, digivolve from Ultimate to Rookie in the middle of a boss fight. Even better, because this is Data Squad, Marcus can only digivolve Agumon after punching an opponent. I guess Marcus can only get revved up if he hurts someone. Agumon, you slut! You better digivolve! Even better, this punch actually deals damage to the enemy Digimon, which means that yes, you can actually KO the final boss by punching him with a human. I cannot begin to count the number of ways that is wrong, but it really just goes to show how brokenly overpowered Marcus is in the Data Squad universe. No, I do not have footage of this. I'm not doing that grind. Oh, and if the battle ends because you killed the last Digimon with that punch, the Digivolution doesn't count. Sorry, boss, I lost the mood. Think you can do it one more time for me? Anyway, we're here on Walter Island to find Tylomon. Tyromon. Localizations. Anywho, he's been wrecking stuff somewhere. It actually never explains what he's been doing to warrant being hunted down and destroyed. It just says he's been destroying boats, but it doesn't specify if it's in the real world or the digital world. I mean, I assume it's the real world considering it's Data Squad, but we hopped into the digital world because Dats likes to waste resources. I mean, to stop him, turn him into a Digi-Egg, bring him back to the real world, and then send him back. That's not the punchline. They have actually done that. Isn't that kind of like capturing a criminal in another country, extraditing him, and punishing him by deporting him back to that country? Am I reading too much into this? Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? It's at this point that I'd like to make a note. I want to figure out where in the Data Squad show this game fits. It has to be between episodes 1 and 48. It can't be after 48 because of how that show ends, and it can't be before 1 for obvious reasons. I'm sure this game will fit somewhere in the timeline, just trust me on it. But anyway, we're at least after episode 5 because we've done a digital dive now. I will be keeping a running tally as we go along, so pay attention. So, we beat up the target Digimon, all is well, when suddenly... Creepymon? Creepymon! That's the fake name you come up with for an unidentified Daemon. You could have gone with
mysterious Digimon called Creepymon.
Are you Yes, I am aware that Creepymon is his Bandai Namco official name. So Daemon beats the tar out of him, but suddenly freaks out and vanishes after taking one look at his Digivice, obviously horrified that such a colossal jackass could get one of those. At that point, Yoshino comes in to bail us out. We're then treated to the kidnapping of a little girl. No, really, just a random girl being kidnapped. I'm sure it doesn't affect the plot at all. Also Renamon. Because reasons. So, rendezvousing with HQ gives our idiots their next target, Bakemon, in Sneyato Forest? Sneyato Forest. Let's go with that. Ino joins our idiot and little slut, and our idiots are going to meet Thomas there. Yay! Oh, Digimon fans might actually recognize Ino's voice because that's the same VA as Sora from Adventure 01. Naruto fans will also recognize Ino's voice because she's Ino in that show, which is why I'm calling her Ino instead of Yoshi. Though, thanks to Agumon, she does have a giant lizard following her around.
Yoshi! We'll always make a cute and happy pair. Isn't that right, Yoshino?
How much helium did you ingest for that voice, Dorothy? Anywho, the forest is an annoying little puzzle, though it's not terrible as the first puzzle. See, the boss is behind a purple door, but there are only red keys and blue keys. Red keys open red doors, and blue for blue. The trick is, when both are active, only the purple door is open, meaning you have to loop the area a couple of times before you can actually get the door open and have it be accessible. This would be simple if it weren't for the goddamn encounter rate! We also meet Salamon here, who is our cheat sheet for checking on the individual stats each Digimon has so that we know where we are in the damn Digivolution requirements. Seriously, it's at a point that I'd recommend an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of this crap. She also gives items based on her total kill count, saying she collects Digi-Eggs, which is nothing short of creepy when you remember what those Digi-Eggs are. For those of you who aren't in the know, this would basically be the equivalent of you talking to a random person on the street and them mentioning how they collect human skeletons.
I found that Garurumon fur makes a great blanket, and their skin makes a fine lampshade.
Anyway, while we're dealing with this dumb puzzle, they randomly start talking about how there are children that have gone missing. Specifically, 5 of them. Remember that number. It will be important. Also, this conversation comes out of goddamn nowhere and just forces the plot down your throat with no sense of tact. You also find this old bastard who spouts out random words of wisdom to our idiots, and he's responsible for giving idiot number 1 his little slut's dungeon, so we can blame him for the blight that is Marcus Damon. And before I see it in the comments, yes, this old bastard is actually the Commander General of DATS. I know, just calm your titties and let me get on with this. Also, this game calls him the Director. Whoops! Oh, good. It's Thomas and his little bitch, Galmon. Get it? Because Galmon is a dog?
Would a dog wear boxing gloves?
Screw you, I thought it was funny. Anyway, Thomas joins our idiots for this fight with Bakemon. But what's this? Just on the brink of death, it's digivolving into... Myotismon? Okay. What about Phantomon? Hello? You wouldn't even need to put a new model into the game, you could just reskin the Bakemon. Given how lazy everything else in this game is, just why? Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? All seems lost when suddenly a new voice calls us, telling us that... Jesus Christ, I'm gonna cut a gouge into that record at this rate. Really? We're gonna be mixing that in as well. Sure, let's just confuse everyone who didn't own an actual Digivice back in the day. Hey, while we're at it, we could get the X antibody in this and oh boy, here we go. Okay, so I'll do my best to explain what this game is on about. See, a long time ago, back when the first Digivices came out, an expansion called Pendulum came out, and these were all themed around types of Digimon. So you had Deep Savers about waterfaring mons, Nature Spirits for bestial mons, and so on. Still not sure where Jungle Troopers came from though. Anyway, this is also related to a manga that came out a little bit before Data Squad called Digimon Next, which introduced the 8 Digimemories, at which point the concepts kind of fused, or dare I say, jogressed, into this monstrosity that you see in game. If you've played the DS games that were released about the same time as this, then you're familiar with the element system. Same idea. So as mentioned, there are 8 elements for want of a better term. Virus Busters, Nightmare Soldiers, Dragon's Roar, Nature Spirits, Deep Savers, Winged Guardians, Jungle Troopers, and Metal Empire. Wait, what the hell? Virus Busters, Nightmare Soldiers... I just listed those from memory and matched them according to their opposites in-game by accident. God, I'm a nerd. Anywho, as mentioned, each element is paired with another, so VB is effective against NSO and vice versa. That does raise questions as to how fish effectively fight birds, but I suppose it makes just as much sense as insects and plants doing electricity damage, Digimon World DS. God, I wish I was playing Legend of Dragoon right now. Now, as for the X antibody, its existence involves me explaining half the plot of a movie that was itself adapted from a manga that came out alongside one of the Digivice series. So, to keep things simple, let's just say some Digimon are very special, and they have a special program as part of their code that makes them a bit more powerful than your standard fare. Salamon is not one of those Digimon. So where did she get it? I didn't realize this was a physical thing you could just put in your pocket and be like, here you little slut, let me stuff this down your throat so you can digivolve into a new, stronger version of this other Digivolution you have. What, did you pull it from your collection of corpses, Salamon? I bet you have a chandelier made from the bones of a Skull Satamon, too. What are you hiding, you sick fuck? Also, is that who I think it is?
Hold on, I'm coming!
Okay, I didn't realize that DATS was gonna get the BSAA involved over some missing kids. No, this is actually Kagura, an old friend of Thomas who was called in because of a new and interesting area showing up called, well, the Dark Area. Why is it called that? Because no one knows a thing about it. And Kagura is supposed to be an expert on a thing that no one knows anything about. No, I'm not joking. I've edited this footage purely for brevity.
It's a dark area in the digital world. An area that hasn't been analyzed yet.
I've been called in to investigate since I'm an expert on the dark area.
As a real explanation, though, it turns out one of the missing kids is his sister. You remember that random girl we saw get disappeared? That's her. Now, just to confuse the people who don't know Japanese naming conventions, the girl's name is Yuma Kagura. Kagura's full name is Tsukasa Kagura, but for reasons that I don't understand, he's referred to as Kagura. I mean, I know in Japan people are usually referred to by family name, but I mean that in the context of the dub. He doesn't hold high rank, and he appears to be about the same age as Thomas. Then again, Keenan is referred to as Crier, so hell if I know anymore. Next up is Rage Cavern. What a fitting name for something that made me want to defenestrate my console. There's no puzzle here, and the cave itself is actually pretty linear. It just feels more complex because there are a few dead-end offshoots here and there. Going off script, you've probably noticed how I'm speeding up the footage. I'm actually cutting out as much as I can here. This is so that I don't bore you with the endless loading screens. Combine that with the high encounter rate though, and this place just becomes a test of your patience. Crap! Damn it! Okay, you know what? If you're gonna give me an encounter every 10 steps, the least you could do is make some decent music. Screw this, I'm playing my own. Because if it's gonna be EDM, then I'm gonna play some good EDM. Before you ask, it's Shock Rocker by Mayhem. Not that one. Plot!
So this is the cause of that huge Digimon signature.
So none of you guys are gonna be like, holy shit, I've seen him before. Well, that brings our episode maximum to 36. Or rather, it would if it weren't for one teensy little problem. Well, that delusion was fun while it lasted. See, Belphemon was formed in the show from Kurata, who happened to find and hatch his Digi-Egg, and then he started feeding it to make it super powerful. In the game, however, he was formed from kidnapping a child and fusing him with a code key containing Belphemon data. Somehow. So, the game, despite using the show's characters and setting, cannot exist in that setting. So let me ask you this. What is the point of using the Data Squad setting? What, you thought that a Digimon game needed brand recognition? A game with Digimon in the title? Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? Also, hang on a sec. Belphemon? As in Belphegor? Well, where's your toilet there, big guy? Maybe that's why he's so pissed. He's just really constipated. And that is the poop joke checked off the list. But seriously though, how many of us were paying attention in our demonology courses back in Sunday school? Anybody? No? Then I bet none of you care who the 7 demon lords are based on.
Even if 2 of them are wrong.
But screw you, this is my rant, so I'm gonna talk about them anyway. Skip to this time code if you don't want to bother. Otherwise, here we go. So, the 7 great demon lords are based off the demons that represent the 7 deadly sins. We've already seen Belphegor and Satan, representing sloth and wrath respectively. There's also, of course, Lucifer, representing pride, Beelzebub, representing gluttony, Leviathan, representing envy, and then we get to the 2 that are wrong. See, the actual demons of greed and lust are Mammon and Asmodeus. Bet the D&D fans are really confused right now. However, for some reason, the idiots who came up with the Digimon decided to base them off the demon Barbados for greed, and then the walking nightmare of classification and apocrypha that is Lilith. I'd rather not get into it right now, this whole subject is a giant rabbit hole, but the point is, she's our demon lord of lust for this series, which kind of makes sense, especially since her design basically reads like what would happen if you collapsed Rule 34 into a single Digimon, but Barbamon makes no damn sense, since he's based on a demon that can see the future and talk to animals. Yeah, he'll lead people to treasures, but only those that have been hidden by magicians. This isn't fantasy stuff, by the way. This is the actual classification of Barbados. Long story, Google the Lesser Key of Solomon, and be horribly confused. What, were you afraid of offending the 60-year-old rabbis who actually study this stuff if you actually had a Digimon named after a great demon? Wait, too late, you already has Beelzemon and Lucimon, so that's completely screwed. I suppose I should get back to the game, shouldn't I? God damn it. Now, this fight should actually be really hard without grinding. Belphemon has well over double the HP of Myotismon back in the forest. On top of that, he does around 200 damage, which is easily a third or even half your HP by this point, unless you've really done some hardcore grinding. This fight would be really hard if all the Demon Lords weren't NSO. See, because the game already gave the game away about NSO being weak to VB, you can quickly figure out that for massive damage, you could just throw a VB enchant onto Agumon, make sure he's digivolved into something nice and strong, so probably Growlmon or Greymon, then give a weak attack buff from Galmon onto Agumon, which doubles damage when you're hitting a weakness, and wha-bam! He dead, yo! These buffs are actually really stupidly powerful and clearly not meant to stack on top of each other like they do in the game. This is going to be a running theme that this game has, and it's all thanks to the fact that every single Demon Lord is an NSO. So anyway, the idiots beat up Belphemon and out pops a kid and a keycard with some weird symbols on them. The source of those symbols is somehow weirder than the Lesser Key of Solomon thing, but I'd rather not get into that right now. And as the kid babbles on about how lazy and carefree he is, suddenly...
Nice going, Beelmon!
I didn't think it was possible for this game to introduce a character I could hate more than Thomas. But then... this guy. Okay. Maybe I should actually explain what I'm on about with these characters. See, Marcus is a thick-headed man's man who just grates as he tries to show he's the best. Ino is a foil to Marcus's antics, and as such only amplifies his dumbassery. And then there's Thomas, the smarty pants who is always right and always knows what to do. He's like Izzy, if Izzy was a prick. And then there's Kosaburo Katsura. Look at it. Look at it! Stare into the eye of madness like I have and feel the rage boil! Okay, most of you are probably confused as to what he's doing, but there's a small chance you might be in the know about some weird internet stuff and are currently laughing your ass off because you're making the same connection I am. Keep in mind, this was 2007, which was a much more innocent time. Okay, to explain, the pose he's doing is known as the Haigure. Those of you who know Japanese are confused because that translates to leotard, but that's because it's named after a character from the movie Crayon Shin-chan, Action Mask vs. Leotard Devil, and you probably have already figured out why the pose is named that now. But the internet is an amazing place where horrible things happen to supposedly pure ideas, and over the past few years, the pose has become synonymous with a fetish for women wearing leotards or one-piece swimsuits who are forced in some way, usually hypnotized, into making that pose. Why do I know this? This is the pregnant rabbits all over again. This happened after this game was released, meaning that Kosaburo and Beelmon imitating the gesture is merely an oblique reference to a movie more than anything else, as hilarious as it is to think otherwise. But seriously, holy shit, is that one hell of an in-joke. Or it could just be a poorly animated suck my dick taunt, I guess. I'm choosing to believe the former option. So, Kosaburo and his Beelmon steal the card key and screw off, never to be seen again until you see him again and scream blood. Meanwhile, Daemon growls menacingly at a digital hazard symbol.
Dark area. A door. It's opening.
That was the entire scene. How important? Head back to base and we have a flashback to another character who was invented for this game. Sonita brings in his resignation because he hurt someone with his Digimon. Never tells us what happened. He just hurt someone with his Digimon, and that's apparently all that matters. See, I'm very much a subscriber to Context is King, so I'd like to know what the hell happened. Oh, and then he disappears. Yeah, just poof, gone, even left a child behind. Oh, and he let his anger get the better of him, apparently. Hey, how many kids are missing again? 4 now? And there are 6 demon lords left, right? Well, I'm sure Wrath is occupied by one of the kids, right? Maybe Yuma? Nah, prob's not Yuma. Anyway, we unlock Keenan and Falcomon and get our next level, Mirage Mansion. Museum. This place combines the crappy door puzzle of the forest with the linear maze of the cavern. Yay! And you know what that means. Random encounter time! This wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for the game's glacial pace with encounters. See, every turn, the camera makes this sweep of the battlefield purely to waste time. If I were a more cynical man, I'd say that was done so the game had time to calculate whose turn it is. Then, it takes a couple of seconds for either you to get to choose your action, or watch the enemy actually do anything. I mean, Digimon World 2 had a similarly slow pace, but it didn't feel like it was doing it on purpose. How hard is it to just code a turn-based combat system? God, why can't I be playing Legend of Dragoon right now? Skipping the cutscene expositing on the Demon Lords. Oh, what fresh hell is this? So we get a cutscene of Yuma being turned into Lilithmon. Oh my god, she's like 12! Who the hell at Bandai Namco said this was okay? Oh, sure, they try to explain it as her longing for her parents' love, which so does not help your case. And just... Jesus Christ. Just end this cutscene and get the hell away from me. So, find Barbamon and fight him, which is only a BS fight because he has an attack that can one-hit KO your Digimon. Then again, this is the point where you have access to so many buffs that you can one-hit KO him as well. Kick his ass and save the kid, which turns out to be really greedy. I'm beginning to notice a pattern here. Speaking of patterns, Kusaburo comes to haunt me once more, taking her idiot's new card key and screwing off once more. Also, this little shit of a child!
What did you do with my money, old lady? In this world, I can do anything I want. The last thing I want to see is the face of some Cro-Magnon like you. Go away, shoot!
Back at base, we get a flashback of Yuma being called a monster girl because she has a Renamon friend. Aren't dads supposed to be suppressing the knowledge of Digimon? I mean, why do you have those memory erasers if you aren't suppressing the knowledge? Oh, it also turns out Sloth Boy and Greed Girl are a couple of the kids mocking her. Shame that never becomes relevant. Also, given that there was an entire conflict about Christy potentially joining DATS over her digivolving a Beomon, why isn't Yuma a member of DATS considering she has a Renamon partner? You know, I just had a thought. Why is Yuma in this game? No, seriously, think about it. She's the little sister of a major character, she has a Digimon partner, and she's voiced by Michelle Ruff. Why isn't Christy in this game? You even put Beomon in the game, so why not give the plot some needed spice by making it Christy who gets kidnapped? Granted, Beomon being Christy's partner is playing fast and loose with the definition, but Yuma is so pointless a character that she can be written out of the plot entirely. Seriously, she gets kidnapped, gets saved, disappears for the rest of the second act, and then she joins the idiots about 3 levels away from the end, at which point she just fades into the background. Using Christy actually uses a major character from the season you are butchering to make this game. The only mention we get of Christy's Beomon is an offhand mention of, spoiler warning, his soul being broken by Marukimon, which... Is that what happened? Because I thought he was driven mad by retaining his memories of Christy. Also, how do you know what Marukimon did to Beomon? I guess Falcomon told you. So, given the writers clearly don't give a damn about continuity, it is a massive oversight on their part. Does anyone else see why this shouldn't be a Data Squad game? Am I just crazy? Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? Alrighty, its next stop is Levilas Island, which has a puzzle. Get it right, and you open the barrier. Get it super right, and you unlock a portal where Darkdramon shoves his drill down your throat. Whoopsie! But hey, there's a Pandamon that gives you the answer if you answer his basic quiz. Yeah, I'll have 2 questions and our answer is a riddle. I hate riddles! I suck at them! Actually, the riddle is pretty simple. See, whatever Digimon was in your party when you enter the area is your code for the barrier. So if you change your party after that, you will be hopelessly confused. Anyway, Renamon is here. Because Yuma. She's the one who sent us to the horrible cutscene, the bitch. What made you think I wanted to see that, huh? So she decided to fight Lilithmon, got beat up for her troubles, and is desperate for help to get Yuma back. Don't worry, Foxy, I'll just one-shot her. When I get to her. Thankfully, the level is relatively short. Oh, and new battle music. Because reasons, I guess. Also, Renamon, how'd you get into the digital world? I only asked because they asked that to Saburo too. Not gonna explain? Okay, cool. I would like to remind everyone that there is a below-age girl inside of this Digimon. So you fight Lilithmon, we are thankfully spared Yuma's lust-fueled ramblings, but not from Kasaburo. But this time, our idiots are ready for him.
Not so fast.
Yeah, you little shit! How dare you besmirch Biomon's good name! But then, Kasaburo pulls out a secret weapon, a Digivice! Oh, hell no! He's not gonna end up in my party, is he? Anyway, he Digivolves Biomon into... Birdramon? Okay. Then why did Christie's Biomon Digivolve into Aquilamon?
Aquilamon.
Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? Back on track, we end up fighting Biomon, which... I just one-shot a Mega. What makes him think Birdramon will fare better? Actually, I joke, but this is probably the longest single boss battle that I have footage for. I keep one-shotting the other Mons. I don't have anything for Wingardium weakness. Still, he doesn't fare any better, and so Kasaburo screws off, this time without his card key, but not before Hygurating me.
Saburo, he got away again.
Oh my god, I could watch this all day. Pete's playing the damn game, that's for sure. Look at her go, it's just spinning and spinning. Oh my god. How does that even happen? How does you... Oh my god. Look at her spin, look at her spin. I could be playing Legend of Dragoon right now. As if this game was directly trying to please me, we get a scene of Kasaburo getting squashed by Daemon. Hooray! Though he was talking to someone, and that blacked out shape looks familiar. Something about that hair. It's gotta be Cloud, yep. Back at base, Renamon will live, we get a basic explanation of the 7 deadly sins and how they're linked to this game, and Kagura babbles on about society being twisted, emotions, blah blah blah, we get, you have the villain ball. What's weird about this a little bit is that this has nothing to do with the plot of the game. This goes back to the show's continuity that they are butchering to make this game.
My brother is the kindest and smartest brother in the whole wide world.
I'll just save that for later. Next up is Digital Dungeon, or as I like to call it, Why? This is the point where the game just throws its hands up and says, screw it, committing to deliberately wasting your time. This place is a 3-floor maze and it is disgustingly long. Combine that with the high encounter rate and, well, I'm very glad I have a low encounter. Screw this place. And it's not even like the encounters are any good. It's the same encounters you dealt with in Mirage Museum. Hell, even the walking sounds are lifted from that place. It makes this weird rebounding noise that just grates on your brain, and by the end of this, I just wanted to quit. The first time I played this game, this is where I got to before I just quit from the boredom. And the only thing that is motivating me to play through this now is finishing this damn rant. You're welcome. I could have finished the first disc of Legend of Dragoon by now, not including B-roll, but no, I'm playing this. Oh, Beelzemon, you were so cool in Tamers. Why must you defile yourself by being here? Anyway, you fight him, you one-shot him, I'm so bored that I don't even care. The kid our idiot save wants to eat all the things, including Agumon.
This is bad comedy.
After that, we get a rather touching scene where Ino finds Nita's daughter all alone on a swing, waiting for her dad to come. No, I'm serious. This is honestly a really well done scene, and it did make my heart flutter a bit. So, because God forbid we have a good moment in this game, we immediately cut to Marcus acting like a tool. Which, granted, is SOP for him, but I mean he's acting like a tool by his standards.
Yoshino, what's the matter? Having love problems?
You utter jackass. Next up is C. Precipice. Well, that's a good sign. Anyway, C. Precipice Gerapelis? And I'm already getting a sense of deja vu. That background is looking familiar. Is that the goddamn shop music? What the fuck? Platforms! You walk on them, they move, you walk to the elevator, you go fight the giant croc. Now, it's at this point I want to mention one other thing about the combat system, simply because it hasn't been relevant until now. The game's damage system is broken. See, remember when I mentioned those buffs? Yeah, this is the point where it actually matters. So, slap on a VB enchant, add a couple double attacks, and you'll easily be doing 9,999 damage to enemies. Or so you think. What you'll soon find out is that while you'll do 9,999 damage to one boss and have him still kicking, you can do the same damage to a later boss and one-hit KO him. And it's at that point you come upon the horrifying realization that the game's damage value is uncapped. Oh, the display is capped at 9,999, but not the actual value. To prove it, I tested this on a single boss by doing 2 different sets of 9,999 damage, and look at the HP values. So, either boss HP is randomized at the point of encounter, or someone at Bandai Namco forgot to check their code. I'll let you decide which one is more likely. Where was I? Platforms, elevators, giant croc. Kid is envious of a friend of theirs, yada yada. Kagura! Get your ass down here!
Hey, wait a minute.
No. No. No, you are dead! You were squashed by Digimon! You son of a bitch, Kusaburo! Just die! So, Kusaburo is here to reveal that Kagura was the villain the whole time! Bum bum bum!
Hello. Did someone drop you on your head as a baby?
Okay, that actually made me giggle. Now, don't be fooled into thinking Kusaburo actually believes his own bullcrap. He doesn't actually know that Kagura is his client. This is in spite of the fact that he pulls out a tracking bug that he whipped up and sent to his client, reacting to something on Kagura's person. In fact, no one is having it, despite the fact that Kagura's jacket pocket is visibly glowing in reaction to Kusaburo's tracking bug. The characters even pointed the hell out! Are you trying to make everyone look completely brain dead? Because you're succeeding! Speaking of idiots, not a single one of them is buying the fact that the obviously suspicious actions of the suspiciously present person is, well, suspicious. I mean, I'm pretty thick, and sure, the guy making the accusation has stolen from me twice already, and attempted to a third time. But you ever hear of the phrase, no honor among thieves? I'm willing to give the guy some leniency is what I'm saying. But Kagura, faced with this mounting evidence, simply gives up the ghost and goes full villain mode. And this is officially the point where the plot goes off the rails. See, Kagura immediately dumps the exposition that it was he who kidnapped the children, he who sacrificed his sister to create Lilithmon, and his ultimate plan was to distract dads from his plan by sending them to fight his own creations? I swear to God, I'm not leaving anything out. This utter dimwit thought that by interfering with his own plan, he was somehow advancing the plan. And hilariously, we later learned that he needs the key cards to break that seal we saw Daemon growling at way back. But the key cards are used to summon the demon lords, so what is the point of the children? You mean to tell me that Kagura sacrificed his own sister for what amounts to shits and giggles? And you know what? I'll give this game far more credit than it deserves. Maybe the cards needed to be charged with the sins of the kids before they could be used to break the seal. The game never tells us this, but I'll buy that. Let me just ask this question. How is it that, at no point during her kidnapping and sacrifice, Yuma didn't see and recognize her own brother? We later learned that even Yuma is shocked by this face-heel turn, meaning that she never saw any actions or thoughts of her brother holding this grudge, despite the fact that Kagura is literally her only guardian. How was he able to hide this for this long from her without her even getting an inkling as to his motives?
My brother is the kindest and smartest brother in the whole wide world.
She isn't just saying that, she actually believes it. Now that this twist has been dropped on us, this is the point that Kusaburo Katsura becomes completely pointless to the plot. No, seriously, he's done everything that the plot needs him to do, and we still got another 4 levels left to go. So that's 2 characters that are made for this game for no reason. Oh, and I can do one better, because Kagura is just as pointless as the other 2. See, we learned that his goal was to revive Lucemon, here called the Chomao Digimon, so he could become the best idiot in the world, and finally beat Thomas, because Thomas was always better than Kagura. I'll repeat that. Kagura kidnapped his own sister in order to one-up Kion.
My brother is the kindest and smartest brother in the whole wide world.
You mean to tell me this whole situation has been masterminded by one dumb bastard and his wounded— Oh. In counter to that, I'd just like to bring up every other time Kagura has been on screen.
I was his senior, but I'm no match for Thomas. Thank you, Marcus. I feel better thanks to you. We'd better think of the child's safety first. Stay at your current position for immediate evac. By the way, Thomas, what do you think about that Belphemon we encountered? I'm sorry, Yuma. I couldn't do anything. I lost contact, so I got worried and came looking for you guys.
Not once has Kagura shown an inkling that he might not be on the level. Not a single time it is foreshadowed that this could be an inside job. Remember this? That's our one and only clue. This entire twist just blindsides the player with no goddamn logic behind it. Now, this might have made sense combined with this clip.
I was his senior, but I'm no match for Thomas. Thomas is a genius that graduated at the head of his class when he was 13.
If we got a second twist that Lucemon was twisting his emotions, possessing him, or Kagura was otherwise not of sound mind. And you know what? To the game's credit, it does that right at the end!
I'm the one who manipulated the negative feelings of jealousy and envy within him. I'm the one who caused him to succumb to the sin of pride.
But too little too late, and also this game didn't set up its own twist properly in the early stages. Now, let's think on this for a moment. We have a DATS member with ulterior motives, attempting to betray DATS to pursue those goals, and hopes to use a super powerful Digimon to accomplish those goals. If that sounds familiar, it should. That is the basic description of Akihiro Kurata, an actual character from the show. Again, why is this a Data Squad game if we aren't gonna use anyone from it? Look, Bandai Namco, let me rewrite this plot for you because you clearly can't do it. The story doesn't change much until we get to the fight with Bakemon. Before that, the only change is that Christy gets taken, not Yuma. We write both Yuma and Tsukasa Kagura out of the plot, and replace Kagura's explanation of the element system by giving it to Samson, Miki, Megumi, or Kurata if we want to set them up early. Upon learning of Christy's disappearance, Marcus now has a blood vendetta against whoever is behind this, and we use this to, make him a sympathetic character. Don't have anything to save Thomas though, sorry about that. Then, after being a Belphemon, instead of Kusaburo showing up to high-grade us, he's written out of the plot, and Daemon shows up to steal the code key. This happens for all the other code keys as well, and he always succeeds. No fights. He just shows up, trashes the scene, and makes off with the code key before the party even gets a chance to react. This further instills Marcus's drive to defeat him, and gives us opportunities to work in who Daemon actually is. Kurata is the one behind the missing kids, and uses Christy to make Leviamon instead of Lilithmon, the explanation being she's envious of Marcus's ability to fight or something, and just wants to help despite her age. Hey, as long as we're ignoring the continuity of Data Squad, why not go full tilt? Side note, we make the kid who becomes Lilithmon at least 16, just so that pill is a little easier to swallow. Speaking of Christy, Kusaburo's Biyamon is actually Christy's and takes Ramon's place by being beaten up by one of the Demon Lords while trying to save their partner. Christy takes Yuba's place as an idiot. Meanwhile, Yushima, the old guy, shows up from time to time as he's investigating the dark area and the code keys, eventually gaining enough evidence to implicate Kurata. Yushima takes Kusaburo's place as an idiot. Hey, It'll give his Kamemon something to do instead of kicking my teeth in. His cover blown, Kurata calls in the biohybrids to trash Dats in order to cover his tracks and manages to pull Daemon into the real world, where we finally get to fight him. After beating Daemon and resolving his arc, we then learn that Kurata is hoping to unlock Lucemon to spread the dark area, eventually devouring and hopefully deleting the digital world. We can keep Nita and Minami, because I like them, but that's all of 2 characters we created for this game instead of 5. And in the areas where Lucemon is kept, we fight the biohybrids as mid-bosses, because we use them anyway, so screw it, why not? Oh, and Kurata's pride in humanity was warped into a hatred of Digimon, hence why he's linked to Lucemon. There! I fixed your story! I accept payment in cash, check, and or Mountain Dew Code Red. You like that? It gets better, because now we can give someone in the game an actual arc! See, Marcus starts off as brash and hot-headed, and his only motivation seems to be beating Daemon purely because he got beat up. We could compare this to Nita, who is also quick to anger, and paid a heavy price for it in terms of his own morality. Now, let's throw Christy in the mix. See, one of Marcus's major character traits is that he's very protective of his family, so he would obviously swear bloody vengeance on whoever is behind this kidnapping. Maybe we even get a few moments where he snaps and tries to beat up Daemon by himself. Then, we learn what happened to Nita. Spoilers, by the way. See, Nita, the character that's been mentioned all of twice in the game now, is actually Daemon! Because Wrath, you get it. Yeah, the plot critical NPC gets mentioned all of 3 times in game, and that includes the resolution of his duties to the plot. Anyway, we've now shown where Marcus's anger will lead him. It, like Nita, will consume him, and he may end up destroying everything he cares about. So when the time comes, and Marcus has his moment to unleash on the villain, he remembers Nita, and lets it all go. Dirt, simple, character arc. Hell, Legend of Dragoon did this character arc with Dart. Dart loses his hometown and goes out searching for answers. Along the way, he learns from the example of Lavitz, who got his vengeance only to realize that the feeling he got did nothing to fix the sorrow it was born from. So then, when confronted with the very being who burned his home to the ground and killed his parents, he doesn't take his chance and focuses on what's more important than his petty revenge. I didn't even intend to lift from Legend of Dragoon here. I know I'm being a broken record, but can I seriously go play that now instead? Because when I can come up with a better plot at 3 in the morning, half asleep, you have failed to tell your story. Why can't you do anything right, Bandai Namco?
But enough talk! How about you?
Kagura sicks a couple of Devimon and Devimon on us, which actually made me laugh the first time I saw that. Like, he seriously thinks that that's going to stop me? Actually, he just might. The Digimon here can hit you with Panic, and Panic is basically confusion, but with much worse odds against you. Basically, if a panicked Digimon decides to attack an ally, you can completely write that ally off because they are dead. Your Digimon, even unbuffed, simply do way too much damage, and Panic can go right to hell. Meanwhile, Kagura has screwed off, and everyone wastes time consolidating what just happened amongst themselves, with even Samson chiming in at one point to let us know what we already know happened. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. But suddenly, earthquake, and next area! In we go into the Doomsday Forest. We find Daemon here. Yeah, you probably noticed that despite Daemon being plot critical, I haven't been mentioning him much. That's because other than briefly achieving my dream of being the Tara of Kasaburo, he hasn't actually done anything. No, I'm serious, we haven't seen him from between him growling at the seal and beating Kasaburo. It's fine though, it's not like we're completely wasting the appearance of one of the most iconic villains of the series. It's totally cool. And it's not like he's also a plot critical NPC that 2 entire subplots revolve around. It's fine he only shows up for like, what, 6 scenes? Yeah, that's enough time to develop his character and plot threads. Do you see why I'd have Daemon steal the code keys instead? Oh, and the fight music changed again. Yeah, I don't know either. What the fuck? So a portal opens up to the real world, right over the playground that Minami is playing in, because she's there for some reason. And so, you have to chase him there. Yuma joins your party at this point, having learned her brother is actually a dick. I have to reiterate, she did not know about Kagura's plot until just before this point.
I heard the transmission. Renamon also told me.
I cannot stress enough, she didn't know anything, despite him being her guardian for several years. Somehow, this slipped by her. So you fight Daemon, you beat the tar out of him again, and he does the big reveal that I've already spoiled.
Manami.
So we get a short reunion, we get exposition, and it turns out Nita managed to give Kagura his code key somehow. Yeah, apparently they can just give away the code keys that are literally data bound to them. Yeah, that's never explained. Anyway, now that Nita has performed his duties for the plot, it's time for him to disappear. Because he was Daemon for too long, I guess. Kagura unlocks the 6th seal, and it's through this that we can find his hideaway and go fight him. And this level sucks. No, it sucks. I'll be straight. I've been speeding this up because I exist in a time where walkthroughs for this game exist. And that walkthrough has a map. And Jesus Christ, this eyesore of a level. Teleports everywhere mean that this level is just bullshit. So, we finally catch up to Kagura, and we get the explanation for his motivation that I already spoiled. That Kagura was always second place compared to Thomas, and therefore wanted to mend his wounded pride by becoming the best idiot ever!
When did I betray Yuma? I'm the one who sacrificed the children and Yuma as material for the Mao.
Who needs consistency? Anyway, you fight Lucimon, you one-shot him, and he fades back into his seal like the good little demon he is. Right, this is a JRPG, it's never that simple. So, Lucimon then decides to go rogue and eat Kagura, but not before explaining that all the things Kagura did were thanks to him. Once Lucimon has had his fill with Kagura, he starts bringing down the roof and the idiots flee, only to magically end up in the dark area. See, it even says dark area. And this wonderful level is a boss rush. Yay! After solving a few basic puzzles, your prize is a boss to fight to get a key item to open the next door that also has a boss. So, I have to fight a Ghoulmon, a duo of Black War Greymon and Chaos Gallantmon, and 1 second. Ryo Akiyama? Get your scrawny ass down here and get your damn pet! Anyway, you fight them all and you unlock the last door and Lucimon is waiting for you. Well, this is the final boss, and in true final boss fashion, you have to fight him twice. Here's hoping I don't one-shot him again like all the other bosses.
Oopsie poopsie!
Well, so much for dramatic climaxes. Why can't you do anything right, Data Squad? Lucimon is defeated for the final time, and the game outros with Kagura having to face the crimes that he has committed because he's a jackass. Moral of the story, sins, pride, blah blah blah. Oh, and there's a bunch of bonus content like fighting the Demon Lords to unlock their Digivolutions. While I would usually do that, I've been playing this game for about 20 hours now, and I'm done with this crap. Could have been at the 3rd disc of Legend of Dragoon by now. What can I say that I haven't already said? Well, at the very least, the plot is coherent, even if nothing happens. The full plot honestly reads like a summary of a bigger game, and maybe if the dev team spent some time giving a damn, that might have happened. Sure, the gameplay loop would have still sucked, the plot would have not been compatible with the setting they used, I would still have hated most of the main cast, and none of the characters would have actually grown. But at least plot-critical NPCs like Daemon and Nita would have gotten enough screen time for their plot threads to matter. Maybe if the gameplay loop didn't suck, I might have been nicer to the game. I mean, Digimon World 2's plot is incoherent, but I love playing it. But then I remember how much these characters infuriate me. No one in the cast has a likable trait about them. Half the cast, including Keenan, a major character from the show, can be written out of the plot with no loss, and the villain plot twist just makes no sense. At least the AOA was just insane. At least the D-Reaper was a program that went out of control. Hell, at least Kurata harbored a burning hatred of Digimon. Kagura's motivation of wounded pride just does not gel with his setup, makes no sense with his plan, and the game breaks under the weight of its own bullshit. How did Yuma not recognize her own brother when Kagura had to perform a ritual to make Lilithmon? How did Kusaburo make it to the digital world without Dats noticing? How did Kagura expect to control the sealed evil monster? Why were the kids even necessary if your goal was the code keys which you need to summon the Digimon in the first place? At least when Dark Chronicle had a game-breaking plot hole, it tried its best to make you ignore it. Here, hell no! It deliberately calls attention to its own plot holes.
How did you get into the digital world? The only transporter that exists is at Dad's.
If you know your own plot is broken, why didn't you go and fix it? Oh wait, that's right, that would have required some amount of give a damn. What can I say that I haven't already said? Oh yeah, this. Fuck this game! This has been something I've been working on for a decade now. I rewrote this entire script out of dissatisfaction with my first one. I've put so much time into examining this game, trying to understand how I can despise it so much. And I can only hope that I've explained myself well enough to show you why that is. But now that I sit here, reading the end of this script, finally finished with this chapter of my life, all I can say is this. Why? Why did I put so much time and effort into a rant about something that's over a decade old, long after it's a dead game, when it's clear not even the dev team cared about it? But you know what? I care. The reason is that I truly love Digimon, and only want to see it get better. When I watched Digimon Universe App Monsters for the first time, I felt myself falling in love all over again. So I know that delight I first felt nearly 20 years ago is still there. I still enjoy the series, not out of nostalgia, but out of a genuine love for it. But this right here, this is the lowest the series has gotten in my opinion. There's really nowhere to go but up from here. Here's to more than 20 years of Digimon, and hopefully many more. Thank you for letting me get this out of my system. And with that said, there, I'm done. I'm gonna go play some Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth now, cleanse my palate of this bullshit. What? You thought I was gonna say Legend of Dragoon? I'm not that predictable, am I? This is Maniac Kid 25, signing out.